Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Elusive Collectibles, and I'm back with another episode of Cards and Coffee with Joshua from Marvel Madness. How's it going for you today, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
It's been long overdue. We've been trying to, you're a busy guy. You're turning Hollywood on me, so it's hard to get a hold of you nowadays.
Nah, not at all.
So how you been, man? How's everything going?
Doing well, doing well. Just trying to kind of get ready for Dallas. I have some cards at PSA right now. Um, my personal life just been working. Kids doing sports right now, so kind of busy dad. I have 5 boys, so it gets pretty busy around here. My wife's a trooper. She's got to
Yeah,
be to raise the 5 boys. So
you almost got a soccer team there, huh?
yeah, full basketball team for sure.
That's nice, man. Hey, so starting off for people that don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What type of collector are you? How long you've been collecting?
So yeah, Marvel Madness MCU, YouTube and IG. I've been so I started collecting when I was a kid in the 90s. That's when I started collecting Marvel cards. A lot of my buddies were collecting baseball cards, but I started collecting Marvel cards. And anywhere from Marvel Universe 1 to Marvel Universe 5, which is the 1994 series with the 4 holograms and all that stuff. So I was way into some of those. The holograms were big for me when I was a kid. And then I just stopped after, I started like everybody's story, when they start dating, when they start driving, stop the Marvel cards. And I actually didn't pick this up until later on in life, just last year. So it was the beginning February of 2021 that I started
Yeah,
collecting these cards.
we have that in common, man. I also started late February.
Mhm.
Um, and so, what kind of collector are you? Are you a set collector? Are you a character collector?
So I collected some of the sets in the 90s, and I actually have I have every single set of the Marvel universe except for the 1990 I did sell. Just not a big fan. Uh Only like the inserts. I like a lot of the inserts. So I'm an insert set collector now. So I'll pick an insert out of a set and I'll be like, I want to collect that. Um,
Mm.
just for instance, the 2020 metal, the new X-Men metal. I collected the planet aluminums, all 20 of them. And then my main collection is Wolverine. So I am a Wolverine character collector.
Okay. Yeah, was that an easy choice for you, by the way? Like just going with Wolverine, or what made you go with that? Was it ever close? Like for me, and I asked this because for me, like it was, I was jumping back between a couple characters before I
Okay.
finally,
Okay.
chose my top ones.
Yeah. So it was actually really easy for me. To me, because Wolverine was so instilled in me as a kid, like liking the cartoons. I mean, I woke up every Saturday morning and I was waiting for cartoons, and I'd see Wolverine. He was the main star of the show. And it was just, that's who I grew up with. And I have Wolverine toys like growing up and all that. And then probably the Wolverine holograms was some of my favorite. And so to actually say that Wolverine hasn't been my favorite collector all life, it would be denying my inner child.
And going back to your original comment that you said about collecting inserts, right? Because that's kind of like what I gravitated towards as well, starting off. And me and you, we've had a relationship on social media for a while now. We collect similarly, I would say, to your point about inserts and chase cards. Um, what is your favorite set though overall? Like non chaser insert, just a set, base set.
90s set? Because,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'll separate it, right? So
yeah.
I'll do a 90s set and then give me like a modern set, in the 2000s.
So my favorite like 90s set was 1994 Flair Ultra X-Men. Um, The reason, and this is the weird reason of it, right, is not because of the artwork or the cards or anything like that. It's actually the way that was introduced to me. That set, I opened so many packs when I was a kid. I mean, I did open more of the 1994 Marvel Universe 5, but I just didn't didn't love the cards. Where the Fleer Ultra X-Men, I loved the cards. I loved the artwork on the cards. But like, it's kind of weird to say this, but just that pack alone smells differently than any other pack. So if I open up a fresh pack of the 1994 Fleer, if I probably did it blindfolded, I could tell which one was Fleer, the 1994 Fleer versus the other cards.
I'm gonna have to test that now when we see each other in person. I'm gonna bring 3 packs and blindfold you, so kind of like the old Pepsi and Coca-Cola taste
Let's
test.
do it. Let's do it.
Nice, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree. 94, man, it's an awesome set. Well, some of my favorite artwork for me that stands out is the Magneto, right?
Yeah.
The Magneto is amazing, man. You know, he's one of my favorite Magnetos, and then the Gambit from that set. I mean, there's a lot of art. There's a reason why they brought those back as buybacks.
Well, one of my favorite is it's the only X-Men set to portray Spider-Man in the 90s sets, in X-Men sets. Spider-Man is in that set. It's that the team up with Wolverine and Spider-Man in 1994.
Yeah, yeah.
You have the buyback and I
Mhm.
have the buyback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's an awesome buyback, man. It's a number to 50 to your point, and it's just
Yep.
it's an iconic image. And, you know, it's kind of like what we always talk about. I mean, people have coined it at this point, you know, meaning like that's the Michael and Kobe Bryant together type of thing,
Yeah.
right?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a nice card. In that one, by the way, there's another version of the Wolverine and Spider-Man, right? Which is from the Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's a 1994 set as well, right? The
As
the darker one. I think it's by Bagley Adams
Bagley. Yeah.
or Bagley. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, it's, at least I didn't go the cha-chow or what did you call it? That's an inside joke. Earlier, we had an Instagram live, guys, with Joshua, and he called one of the artists
Ciao ciao.
chow chow. Yeah.
Ciao ciao.
So, but yeah, it's a great set. Now, so that's one of your favorite sets for his base set for the 90s. What about the 2000s? What would you say is artwork wise one of your favorite sets?
Well, people are gonna not like me, but I like the vibranium. It's just
The base vibranium, you're saying?
so here's the deal: is the base vibranium. Like, if you were to look at the base vibranium, right, out of all the sets, I I love artwork, but I also like how the cards are artworked. So basically,
Art design.
how the whole design comes together, right?
Mhm.
And you can never go wrong with chrome type of cards, and this vibranium is like chrome. There, it's like Topps Chrome. And to do it in 2015, the upper deck, I think it was the smartest move. It is actually the first upper deck branded set. Okay, the first upper deck branded set with multiple parallels. There's been other sets with multiple parallels, but these are multiple numbered parallels, numbered to 299, 99, and 50, and 5. And those parallel numbered cards, it says upper deck on the card. That's what I mean by branded upper deck. That was the
Yeah,
first one that was branded upper deck.
that
There
makes sense. Kind of. So you're kind of saying like Rittenhouse would be the first branded. That was before even
That was the first like
Marvel Grade,
parallel.
right?
That was
Yeah,
the first numbered parallels, yeah. But as
correct.
far as branded upper deck is the
It's
first one that's
vibranium.
branded
That
vibranium.
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then now I ask this question all the time, but currently now, in you know, being a character collector, there's probably not a lot of cards that you're still missing. But if I had a magic lamp for you and I could grant you 3 wishes and you can't use it to use another wish, Joshua, what were the 3 cards that you know if I could snap my fingers they'd be in your personal collection today?
Hmm. I mean, probably the 2013 PMG.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Mainly,
Me and
I'd
you
love
both.
I'd love the blue one.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd take the red one too, but at this point, I'd take either one of them. But the blue one would be by far one of my dream cards. I think you're the same.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of my grail cards. Give me two more.
Um, well, some of them I've picked up, which is nice. But geez, a magic wand, and I could pick any of them.
It could be a one, but it's a lamp in my case.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Magic wand, lamp, or whatever. Oh, geez. I would say, man, that's a hard one for me because there's not many Wolverine cards that are not attainable for me, except for those cards that
Mhm.
were from the 2013. I'm trying to think if there was anything else because I've already picked up another one too just recently,
Yeah,
Jim Lee Auto that's going to be coming. So
I'm happy for you, man. I'm really excited. I hope you, as much as I,
I'm see I just to let you know, I'm not one to need cards. Okay, I'm not one to say, okay, I am not a Wolverine collector if I don't have that card. Like I don't
Mhm.
look at it that way. I look at it as if I like a card so much, I'll get it, but it'll take a while. The cards that you're just mentioning that like if I had a magic wand, because I know I probably never have it, that 2013
So
PMG.
it's easy. Your answer would be easy then. Since it's only that, then your answer would be the blue, the green, and the red.
Sure. Let's go with
Right? Yeah,
let's
you
go
get the
with that.
full. See, I'm trying to give you the full rainbow, Josh, and you don't want it. All right, so that's what it would
Thank
be
you.
for.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. Now, coming out of your PC and just going into some general questions, like what is an insert or a chase that stands out to you now? That's obviously not masterpieces or not Fleer retro that you feel is currently being slept on, not Vibranium either. That you feel like in 3 to 5 years, people are going to wish they picked some of these cards up now.
Not vibranium? What?
Not Vibranium, yeah, because this. By the way, guys, this Cards and Coffee episode is definitely not sponsored by Vibranium. All right.
Oh, geez, that's funny. Um, so, geez, that's kind of like taking like saying, okay, so what's your second and third or fourth pick?
Well, yeah, no,
um,
because it's a slept on, right? All those sets are not slept on. I would say. I mean, eBay would you know you could would show that in sales. Like Vibranium is definitely selling well. Marvel
yeah.
Masterpieces is obviously selling well, and obviously Flair Retros are making record-breaking sales. So I just mean outside of the obvious, what are other cards or pieces uh, you would encourage other people to look into?
Oh, I would say 2016 Marvel Gems.
Mm.
There is some cards in there that are called exquisite cards. Some of those cards are numbered to only 10.
Nameplates.
One is a Spider-Man nameplate type exquisite card. There is a Wolverine that are numbered to 25 or 30 is one of the two. And it's also an exquisite card, and he's in his yellow suit. Those cards are pretty amazing. And are they being slept on? Well, you can't find them anywhere.
Mm.
So someone's sleeping on them. But I would know because I've been trying to look for some
Yeah,
for a
you and
little
me
bit
both.
now. Yeah.
I actually, funny story, and this is another question that I want to start introducing is what are your biggest losses as far as either you didn't pick it up when you had the chance or whatever lost story you want to share. On the subject though of the exquisite, I'll give you one right off the rip. Last year, I think it was around May or June of last year, maybe July. There was the nameplate Wolverine number to 10 for 500, sitting on eBay for over a month. I looked at it, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't regret that one only because of this. I regret as far as an investment wise, right? That's a no brainer. The return on investment would have been great, but the art wasn't very strong for the, in my opinion, for that Wolverine. Now the artwork for the Spider-Man, on the other hand, is ridiculous. But I never saw one in the wild.
So I saw the artwork for the Wolverine one it was just recently actually. Man, if I would have saw that back then, I would have picked that up. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of cards that I would have picked up, type of thing, and I didn't. But I would say that I disagree. I like that card a lot,
Mhm.
and the artwork's probably not amazing on it, but just because he's in his like yellow suit, I mean, it's one of the good ones. Like it looks pretty cool. Like the only other card that I would probably compare it to, that I have the card of, would be the purely periodic yellow Wolverine that
Mm,
is numbered to 106.
yeah.
That's a pretty cool card. That art's not amazing on it, but it's got the yellow suit. It kind of reminds me of that exquisite card just a bit.
Yeah, and I think what I can't speak for you, but I'm assuming based on what you're telling me, the yellow suit sticks out for you just based on nostalgia for the animated series, right?
It's probably instilled in my mind.
Yeah.
Anything with a yellow suit, it's good. I mean, I do like the brown and the browns, the old school brown suit.
Mhm.
I do like that one, but probably the yellow suit probably attracts me more because there's more cards and all that stuff to it. So
And I talked this last episode I had, I believe, was with Pancake Analytics, and I was talking to him about how when I was observing at the time, specifically the Vibranium, because that was one of the only inserts where it was a fair comparison, where all three of these characters that I'm about to mention were in the same set, which was Gwen Spider, or Spider Gwen, Miles, and Wolverine. And at the time, and I think still, maybe not Gwen anymore, but for sure still Miles, they were both outselling Wolverine, right? And I was mentioning, like, I do wonder what would, in your mind, would make a bigger impact for Wolverine sales specifically, the X-Men animated series coming back, or the X-Men coming into the MCU?
probably the X-Men coming in the MCU. We kind of saw that with you know, Spider-Man. So did the movie push all Spider-Man cards? Maybe. I mean, it's definitely a big kicker, I feel. Being Spider-Man is like the mainstream, what it was and all that stuff. But once they do have a grasp, if they get it right on Wolverine, he'll be a very big contender in cards, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that was my point. I'm waiting for people to put respect on Wolverine's name again. You know,
You're preaching to the choir, baby.
no, I know, that's why. That's why. And here, and one of the things that I want to mention, a while back, you invited me, Doom, Crypto, and Collection Kings to one of your streams, box breaking the Priosi stickers, if you recall. And we were talking. I just lost my train of thought here for a second.
You're good.
But yeah, we were talking about a bunch of things that day. I can't recall, man. I just really lost my train of thought.
No, you're fine. I did submit a couple Prezzosi stickers to PSA. To
Nice.
the one that has the Wolverine claws and
Yeah, that
then the
one's good.
characters in it,
Mhm.
and then the Spider-Man that has the eyes.
Yeah, those two, and the Silver Surfer with the face too. Those
Yeah,
are probably
yeah,
like some of the
yeah,
nicer ones from that set for sure.
yeah.
But it was, oh yes, now I remember. Well, in that live, you were sharing with us like your version of the Black PMGs,
Oh,
and
yes,
so
yes.
so I wanted to bring this up because if you could walk me through, if you were able to have full creative control at Upper Deck at creating your own Marvel set. Walk me through the base cards. How, like, what would you number the base cards? What kind of inserts would you have in there? Would you have sketch cards in there, or printing plates? What kind of, how would you build that up?
So, man, that's a hard question because I've only built up the one insert, and it was I called the insert collector, collector. What is it? Collector precious gems? No. Yeah. Collector metal gems. Is that
Yes,
what I
collector
called it?
metal gems. Yep.
So instead of
CMGs.
CMGs. So collector metal gem. And that's kind of what I think it'd be a cool thing to have is man, these are collector metal gems, and to have it black and foiled black, and it'd just be so sweet to have that. I know there'd been some previous guests that had said that.
Mhm,
Was that my only reasoning to say I want a black PMG? Well, I've always liked black on a card,
mhm,
so I think a lot of us would just love that. I
mhm,
think a lot of it's in our mind that like a black card with just the artwork would be pretty sweet and amazing. But a collector metal gems was what it would be. They would probably be only numbered to like, man, 20, 25. Like I'd like it like a low numbered, but still achievable for people to get it.
mhm.
I mean, maybe put some golds in there too, you know.
Yeah.
That'd be kind
Yeah.
of cool too.
Well, dude, you're in control of this. So walk me through this. Pretty much, you pretty
Well,
much got the golden ticket.
it'd have some gold 101s, it'd have some black to 25, collector metal gems. It'd have some acetate cards in there. So the acetate insert cards, I think I think an acetate insert card that would possibly have a couple layers into it, not just one layer on top, but you'd have a few different ones inside. So basically it'd kind of be like a 3D card, but it'd still be acetate. And then in that, I would love to see, and here it comes, hologram buybacks.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
that'd be so sweet to have hologram buybacks.
You're the first one to mention that. That's crazy. That's true. Yeah.
So I would love, because these aren't that expensive online. If we got this guy, I don't know if you can see that really well. Sorry.
Yeah. Tilt it up and to the side. There you
There
go.
we
That's
go.
pretty.
So that right there is from the 1993 X-Men Series 2 set. And it's the Wolverine hologram, 3D hologram. And that would be an awesome buyback. And the buyback, let's say, it would be to 10, or even 20 to have that. But even the Spider-Man versus Venom hologram that everybody knows too, in the 1993 series 4 set, that would be a sweet hologram buyback. So hologram buybacks, collector metal gems, the acetate cards in there, and maybe the whole set to be numbered to 1,999.
Okay. Nice, man. Here's another question. Just switching a little bit up from cards more into the community wise. How do you feel? What's a good way of putting this? Like, how are you feeling in being in the collecting space now with Marvel? Like, and compared to you coming back into it in February of last year, like, what was the atmosphere like at that time versus how do you feel the atmosphere is now? And maybe the atmosphere is the wrong word, but I can't think of it right now. So sorry about that.
So, when I first started, it seemed like, like I was new to everything, right? Because, this is going to touch a lot of people that are coming in the hobby new. Because I felt really new. Nobody knew me or anything like that. Started reaching out to some people, had a couple conversations. We were still getting to know each other and all that stuff. But respect started to happen probably 6 months into it, where people were respecting each other because they knew each other for a little while and all that stuff. And so all these, like the Facebook group. So MCCW was one of the first Facebook groups, the Marvel card face group too. Um, and I think I didn't really start like gaining a love for the the content and everything until I had a presence on IG, and I was able to reach out a bunch of people, and I was able to do IG chats and all that stuff with you and Victor, Marvelous Packs, and some of our other buddies like Spidey Joe 09 and Sketch Card Hive. So a lot of us that were starting into our channels and all that stuff. I mean, that's really where I gained. I gained a little bit of respect, for people, and then I got respect back as well, which was pretty awesome to me. Like that's where I met you too. So
Yeah.
it was pretty sweet.
And so it sounds like, and I'm right there with you because again we joined at the same time. It was like very exciting, right? Everything's new. We're like in the discovery phase, I guess you could say. Versus where do you think we're at now?
Well, Marvel cards aren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
That's where we're at right now. Um, so to a little bit what you said, when I first got in, I was like amazed how many cards and sets, different sets were out there. And I'm like, holy crap, these have been out here the whole time. I'm like, I loved 90s cards, but holy crap, like and every single time it's like you posted a picture. I'm like, wait, what is that from? Let's see what this set is. And you just uncovered set after set because there's a lot of sets out there that people are sleeping on quite a bit. I mean, you might not want me to say Rittenhouse with the rubies and the diamonds, but that's a cool set, that
Mm.
a lot of people, a lot of sports people are like, okay, what's the next set, and a lot of us Marvel card guys know kind of these sets, and so they would love to have that knowledge, and everything. But I mean, it'd be great for them to reach out to us. I mean, I'd be happy to tell them about them and all that stuff, but they're just kind of looking after the low dangling fruit,
Mm.
with like the PMGs and all that stuff, and they're not, you know, they're not afraid to pay a lot of money for it. It seems like, for
Yeah.
to pick these up because they see the value in it.
Yeah, and I think to your point, I think what's going on with sports cards investors, and shout out to Card Boss, shout out to Marvelous Packs, Victor, even though
Yeah,
he's been on his feelings lately.
it's
But
okay.
but but in regards to Card Boss,
Yeah.
one of the things he does a great job in his channel is breaking down his train of thought when it comes to investing in some of these cards. But to your point on why they're gravitating towards these inserts, not only because one of the things that we beat up like a dead horse, which is like the sports card correlations, but I also think it has a lot to do with the fact that because they are strictly investors, right? They're not going to jump into something where there's not a lot of comps or a semi-established market. So I think that's more so what it is. Where me and you as collectors were starting to buy things in February, we weren't looking at, oh, what's going to be the next hot thing. We were buying things that we enjoyed
Mhm.
and that had, and most likely were rare and hard to find. Where they're not gravitating towards that as much, they're gravitating towards where the money's flowing.
Yeah, and to that, it was hard for me to see just the investment part of it when I first started because alls I saw was, "Look at this cool Wolverine card. I want that in my personal collection." Every single time, and I'd say I'd see some Spidey cards too that were pretty cool, but like, "Oh, those are pretty cool too," and everything, and not really thinking of the investment aspect of it. But once I had some of these cards, I'm like, "Man, that Spidey's actually possibly worth some money. Maybe I could sell that to get more of my Wolverine stuff." And so I kind of switched to just PC Wolverine stuff to picking up things that I could sell off maybe later on for more of my Wolverine cards. And I started grading some cards too. I have the 50 cards at PSA story that I still haven't seen. But I've also sent some to SGC. SGC is a great company too. I've actually sold slabs for SGC, so it's been great that way. But I see a value in grading right now, and I think that's where a lot of us collectors now, if you're gonna sell any cards right now to gain more of your collection or PC, uh, you're gonna want to look into grading and what cards are good to grade. I we could do a segment on that sometime.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's funny that you mentioned grading, and then when you throw in SGC, I feel like that's like one of the taboos in our hobby now. It's almost like talking about religion and politics. When people bring up grading, people are like trading
Yeah.
lightly. But to be honest, like, look, it comes down to preference. But I feel that all three companies have their place. And just for me to
And
share my thoughts,
just so you know, the three companies you're talking about PSA, SGC, and BGS. Beckett.
yeah. Let's change the order. Well, I'm talking about Beckett, PSA, and SGC.
Great, great. No, you're fine. You're fine.
So for me, like, look, and I was having a few conversations with other collectors, the last few days, where I'm thinking about sending some things to get graded myself, right? And I'm starting to get into that phase where before we talked about this, I was in the accumulation phase, right? Now I'm really trying to sort through what I want to keep for my collection, what are things that I never want to let go of. But back to the grading, those pieces that I would never let go of, me personally, I want to send them to Beckett. Now, the pieces that I'm looking to sell, I understand the market, so I'm going to send those to PSA, right? So that's where I'm at with it personally. For my PC, cards like, here's a good example of a card that took me like 8-9 months to find. It's not a huge card, but the artwork is awesome. This Moon Knight Gold Border 75th Anniversary Rittenhouse. I'm not going to send that to PSA personally because it's going to stay in my PC. So I just want to see it in a Beckett slab, right? If I could get a 9.5 with the gold on gold, right, it would stand out. So I think that's what it comes down to, is preference. But I don't think there's any argument when it comes down to value on who you should go with, right?
No, and I mean, there's people out there that will disagree and all that stuff, but to your point, when you're talking about value and resell, right now, PSA is the market asks for PSA for that. And a lot of the sports guys that come in the hobby, they respect the PSA grade and they see more value to it. So it will sell more for more. So in a resell standpoint, it totally makes sense. There are some like maybe some like base cards that makes more sense to grade maybe
SGC.
with SGC,
Mhm.
just because the fact that it's they don't charge $50 per submission versus PSA does. But at the same time, you really want to look at, okay, does it make sense to send a PSA or does it make sense to send a SGC, or does it make sense to just sell it raw? And
It's a
so
case by case scenario,
it
100%.
is. It is.
And another thing in reselling that I wanted to touch on, just a small correlation, that if people thought about it a little bit more this way, uh, and just factually, and so there's no feelings involved. Think about even when you're buying a car, right? People back, at least in my day, you're a little bit older than me yourself, but um, people bought Toyota because why? They held their value. To your point, right? The resale value is high on Toyotas. You're not going out maybe now it's a different story, but 10 years ago, you weren't buying a Kia, right? Not because there's anything wrong with Kia. It's a great company, I'm sure. But going back to your point, if you're looking to buy a car and you know that you might let it go in 3 to 5 years or whenever you're done using the vehicle, why wouldn't you go with a brand that's going to hold the most resale value? So it's the same thing with sports cards, right? And non-sports, it's the same thing. Another thing I wanted to touch on, one of my final questions for you, is going back into the community, looking at what the state of the community is now like. What are some of the things you would change for the better?
um what would I change for the better? um I mean, I don't know if I would change anything. I would just want to know what more to do to bring more people in faster, um to be able to give them the love of the cards that I have, and not just look at it in an investment standpoint, but more of a, man, this is great. Like these cards are awesome. Like I want to PC some of these. I want to have this part of my personal collection. And that's what's nice right now, seeing some of the comic guys come in. I mean, I'll just kind of
Mm.
stand out somebody. One of my buddies that I'm a buddy now with, Valor Comics on IG.
Yeah,
He was a
shout out
big
to Daniel.
Yeah, he was a big comic guy, but now he's like seeing he's seeing something totally different now. It's like, wow, these cards exist. These cards are amazing, you know, and he's like all in now. Like
Mhm.
he loves his comics, he still does his comics, but I mean that's what he's focusing on is like a big collection as a whole. He wants to put comics, cards, and figures and all that together, but he's doing it in a way where he sees all these cards. He's actually falling more and more in love with some cards, which is cool.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and shout out to Valor Comics. I actually just sold them the Spider-Man 75th Gold Border Rittenhouse
Yeah,
card.
he showed me today.
Yeah, it's an awesome card. Again, but back to your point, you know, like I don't PC Spider-Man hard. There is maybe a few Spider-Man cards that I definitely would want to keep in my PC, but you know, you can't keep it all, right?
No.
You have to pick and choose what you want to go with. And to close it out, Josh, and I appreciate you joining me today. Can you share with us some of your favorite cards? I think you got a couple to share with us, right?
Yeah. There's a couple cards that I don't have, but with me right now. I think they're back at my work. But I'll show you the ones that are my favorite. I think I already showed this.
The
This is the
hologram.
hologram. This is an old school 1993, Series 2 hologram. This is by far my favorite card, and it's only valued at like 40 or 50 bucks. But like if you move it, like there's like the metal moves with it, and it's 3D hologram. This is one of my favorite cards. It will still be with this, but the reason that this is my favorite card is my dad gave this to me when I was a kid for a Christmas present.
That's awesome.
And it was my first hologram. Because like I'd always talk to my dad about, oh, I want to pull a hologram out of these packs. Well, he bought me this, and then he bought us also a box of the 1994 Series 5. Me and my brother both a box, a full box, for Christmas. And then this came with it. It was pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Well, that's a memory. Yeah, that's an awesome memory.
Yeah, like what's funny is like if I had to sell every single one of my cards, I wouldn't sell this ever.
Yeah, because of the sentimental value.
Yeah. Geez, so
that's a nice little radiance there.
well, oh, you saw that? Okay, so this is Wolverine Vibranium, and it's the Radiance.
It's an awesome card. It matches the carbon fiber background. Look at that when you mess around with
it. Yeah, it's number to 50. So
mm-hmm.
This is one of my Grail cards. Yeah. And this artwork's done by Stuart Immonen, which actually Elusive knows this, but it's the same artwork that's done on the 2013 Marvel Retro PMGs that you see out there. And then the 2015, I think there's a 2015 inserts that you mentioned earlier. So
yeah, with the auto, it's a homage to the Jim Lee 1992.
Yep. Yeah. I did pick up some of the X-Men metal as well, and there's two cards that I love from that.
The Arcweld and the Periodic Blue.
Yeah, Adamantium, which is this one
Adamantium is right like that.
So it's the Metalloid Adamantium. Yeah,
that's an awesome card, man. I had a few shots at the blue. I was never able to lock it down. So congratulations, man. It's a beautiful card.
Yep. This one right here is gonna stay with me too. It's 2017 Wolverine Jambalaya. But this one here is one of my good ones right here. This is the Wolverine Auto.
That's a nice one. I think you're holding one of those for me, right?
Possibly.
Your poker face, damn, Josh, you're good, man. Your poker, you didn't even hesitate. That was good. I like that. Okay.
Well, what's funny is in 5 weeks, I will have an SGC, a PSA, and a Beckett.
I'll take the Beckett.
I'll own all 3 of them. So
you own 2 of them. There you go.
Now, just to let everybody know, you can pick up that card raw for $1,000. So.
Okay. Hey, I did to close it out, Josh, but I did want to say this. Um, and I had a few more. Some of the questions I asked you were already trickled in, but I did get a few questions of people that knew that you were going to be on today's episode. They wanted to remain anonymous for this question that they have for you, and it's a true or false question, right? You ready?
Yeah.
They want to know if you would confirm or deny from the Atlanta show that you were rude to some waitress. I don't know why they wanted me to ask you that question. I don't know if that rings a bell to who might have.
I will plead the fifth on that one.
There you go. Okay, but they wanted me to ask you that, so that was one.
To say anything, I was very nice to her.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked questions that the other party didn't like.
Yeah. No, I knew, obviously, I could tell you off camera, but it's someone that you know.
Already know who it is. Already know who it is. Already know who it is. So it's not a big deal.
About it. Yeah, you're good.
Hey, so, I love you, Steven. Love you.
That was good, Josh. Scandal. I didn't even mention that it was you, by the way. He just knew. But amen, Josh. Again, thanks for joining me today, man. And I'm glad we had a finally chance that our schedules coincided. Is there anything that you wanted to close out with? Any closing thoughts or any shout outs you wanted to do? Anything else?
Yeah, actually, I do. Well, obviously my YouTube channel, Marvel Madness MCU, the IG, Marvel Madness MCU as well. Hit me up there if you have any questions. Love to chat. But more so, this is what I want to say to the community right now. I don't like drama. A lot of people don't like drama. I think this hobby is very important to me and others. And if we can just all come together as a community, thinking about that this is just a hobby and forget about some of our own opinions, it would be a better place and we would have less drama. And I think if you just focused on that this is a hobby and we all love this hobby and we can all get along, I think it would be a better place. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's a nice closing statement. Well, thanks, Joshua, man. You have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, see ya.